This is Robert Kraft, and I am your host on SNN.Network. And with me today is Pam Marrone. She is the CEO of Marrone Bio Innovations. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is MBII on NASDAQ. Pam, welcome to SNN.Network. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Well, I guess these things are all going virtually these days, huh?
Oh, that is for sure. Yeah, no, look, we got to make do, right?
That's right. That's right.
And first, before we get into everything, how are you holding up? How's the family? Everyone's okay?
Everyone's great and the company's good. So we're part of the critical ag supply chain. So we have
Mhm.
actually an ag exemption. So we're open for business and shipping product and doing quality control tests to get product out the door. And of course, we have scientists who have to take care of the insect colonies and other live organisms. And our plant in Michigan has been making product.
Absolutely. So before we get into some of the highlights and updates from the company, let's get a very quick overview and description of Marrone Bio, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so we develop biologicals for pest management and plant health. So these are naturally occurring microorganisms and substances that control plant diseases and plant pests, as well as increasing yields and quality.
Perfect. All right. So we actually last had you on in October 2019. Now, that literally feels like years ago at this point. But if we have to do just our basic math, I guess that was only about 6 months. So let's get some highlights. What are some of the key highlights for the company in the last 6 months?
Well, we had just closed on ProFarm, the acquisition of ProFarm in Finland in September, and we've been integrating ProFarm into the Marrone Bio operations, and we're very excited by the synergies that we're seeing. We got some data of our product with their product that increased the yields of corn and soybeans above the traditional chemical standards or our individual products alone. So already we're seeing the synergies of that acquisition. We also closed on the purchase from Jet Harvest Solutions, a small company in Florida, two products, Jet-Oxide and Jet-Ag. And in March, Jet-Oxide 15% was allowed for use for coronavirus because the EPA tested it on a different coronavirus and said, okay, we're looking for sanitizers for this new virus, and it's allowed. So we actually ship product. We're shipping product for that use as well.
So just to quickly follow up on that bit of news, so you were approached, even before it was officially known as a pandemic, and to get some of your sanitizers on the market.
Well, it was already on the market, but then the EPA, when COVID-19 happened, the EPA did the studies in-house
I
of
see.
different
Okay.
sanitizers like they do to say, okay, which ones are going to be, we're going to allow, even though they haven't yet tested on that particular virus, because obviously it's not
Right.
available yet, testing. They said, well, we'll test on a different coronavirus and then look at the results and say, okay, well, if it's working on something that is wimpier than the current virus, then it's probably going to work really well, so we'll allow it. So there's a list of sanitizers on the EPA website, and we're one of them, Jet-Oxide 15%. And it can be used on food processing facilities, agricultural equipment, greenhouse benches, quite a broad range of uses for killing the coronavirus.
So I have to ask, I mean, obviously you probably didn't even forecast this being a potential use case,
No,
when you guys were all, having a burger on January 1st, 2020,
that's
so,
right.
so,
We
I,
didn't.
yeah. So, I mean, was this even one of your primary lines of revenue that you looked at the beginning of the year? And now with everything going on, from what you can tell us, of course, do you forecast this as being something that's going to result in large revenue driver for you guys in the foreseeable future?
Well, we didn't. No, we didn't obviously predict there was going to be a global
Right.
pandemic and that we'd have this use for food and ag processing and other industrial uses. But the Jet Ag and Jet Oxide acquisition is a good contributor to the revenue projections for this year. And it remains to be seen how much additional it's going to add, but it certainly will add additional sales to this year's forecast. Yeah.
So Pam, there's two other news items that I wanted to follow up with you on to get your comment on. The first one is just recently is the commercial agreement with Anasac Chile. I wanted to learn a little bit more about that, and then also, and this ties in with what we were just talking about with Jet-Oxide and EPA approval. You also got EPA approval earlier this year on Regalia and Stargist for hemp. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we were the first two products actually allowed for use by the EPA. So prior to the 2018 Farm Bill, hemp was not, you couldn't grow hemp legally. So once the 2018 Farm Bill made hemp production, industrial hemp, legal, then we were two of the first ever products to be approved by the EPA. So that is a growth driver for us. There's a lot of acres out there. I'm sure there's there's shakeout in the market, and not everybody's knowing, how the market's going to go. But one thing's for sure: those pests find crops no matter what they are and where they are. So you've got these budworms and mites and things, and we've got great products for mildews and other diseases in the first two products, Regalia and Stargus, and then we'll expect our insecticides to come after that.
Got it. And then real quick on the commercial agreement with Anasac Chile.
Yes. So Anasac Chile it's a great agreement for us with our two insecticides because that country is fruits and vegetables that are exported. So you don't want to have any chemical residues at time of harvest. So our products can be sprayed right up to harvest to control pests like vine mealybug and weevils of blueberries. And so those are the types of pests that we're going to be controlling. So while it might seem a small market, it's actually going to be a significant revenue driver for us as we add more countries to our international business.
Got it. And then from what you can tell us, what are some of the things investors should look out for? I know we're we're literally right at the end of Q1, but now going into Q2 in the summer, what are some things that investors should look out for?
So we're happy with our Q1 thus far. Because we are agriculture and people have to eat and farmers have to produce food, it's a little bit early to know exactly how much agriculture is affected by the global pandemic, but suffice to say, it's probably more resilient than other sectors because of the fact that people have to eat. So we are happy with Q1, but we do expect Q2 and Q3 to be the biggest quarters. And we continue to say that our growth in 2020 will accelerate over 2019. 2019 was 38% growth year over year, which was a very solid, excellent result considering that most of the market, chemical pesticides were generally flat year over year, and the biologicals market is growing somewhere around 13%. So we're growing at a much faster pace.
So where can our audience go and find more information about Marrone Bio?
Well, you can go on our website, www.marronebio.com. Again, we're listed on NASDAQ as MBII.
Pam, thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure, and stay safe.
Thank you. You too.